Hi, today I thought I would give you a bit of a progress to date on the HZ 1-tonner. I've had her for a year and a half, but I've only just started this channel, so as far as the channel's concerned and what work you see happen to her as time goes by, today is the starting point. I got her in July 2021, and the reason I got her was a little bit of kind of serendipity, I guess. My husband had bought a Tirana that he wanted to do a build on, and it came with a 308. So he was doing some research. He thought he might want to convert that 308 to a 355 stroker. And so he was doing his research and found Henke Garage, Sam's channel on YouTube. And Sam's doing an HX 1-tonner, and he had done the stroker engine for that one. But then when my husband changed his mind and decided to go down the LS route, there was a 308 sitting there. And that, coupled with watching Henke Garage and kind of surprisingly falling in love with the idea of a 1-tonner, the two ideas came together, and here we are today. So I went looking for a 1-tonner. I only looked at a couple and was pretty put off, I guess, by how much rust a lot of them have in them, especially in the plenum, as a lot of you will know, and the floors. I didn't really want that complex a project to start with for my first car restoration, so looked a little harder and found Trixie. So she is in a lot better condition than a lot of 1-tonners probably start with, or a lot of old Holdens probably start with. So Trixie is a 1979 HZ 1-tonner, and out of the factory she came with a 202 6-cylinder engine. I think it's still the same engine. It's hard to kind of figure out actually, because a lot of the 1-tonners came out with the Q series engine number. This one has a Z series, and I think that was what they started to do at Holden when they ran out of numbers for the Q series. So I don't know if that is her original engine or not, but there are a few other things about the car that kind of make me think there's a high chance it could be. The gearbox is an M22, which is a sort of lower ratio commercial gearbox, and she also has a 355 ratio diff as well. Palais white is how she came out of the factory, and most of her is still palais white. I don't think she's ever had definitely not had a change of colour. I don't know if she's had a respray, but as you'll see, she has had a bit of bodywork done, and there's bits of original primer showing through now and new primer on top, but we'll make sense of that in another video. She also had the tan interior. You can't tell right now because the interior is gone. I've taken it all out. There is just, I don't know if you can see in the video if I pull that out there, but there is that, whatever the hell it's called, on the back panel of the tonner. I think some people have said that they used to carry their gun in it, or who knows what. And I don't know if you can see the headline is still in there. I haven't taken that out yet. So that's what tan looks like. So when I got her, technically, she was running and driving. Not registered though. I did kind of run her up and down the street a few times just to see what it's like, and really could notice how short that gearing is in the gearbox and the diff. That'll be fun. She came with a tray, but neither the previous owner nor us could figure out how to attach it. So, and it was pretty much trashed anyway, so it is currently over in a corner of the paddock holding rubbish, and I will get her a new tray. I don't know what yet. She also came with a lot of the original bits and pieces, like the door cards and the headlights and the blister indicators, the commercial grille, the commercial bumper, and lots of other bits and pieces. I don't know if I've got a complete set of everything, but you know, there's no rush in figuring all that out just yet. As far as the condition she's in, I was pretty surprised how good she is. She has had a bit of body work done, and I don't know how well it's been done. I think part of my process will be to undo a little bit of it and just see how well it has been done before just stripping her all back to bare metal. I don't really want to do that on this build because I'm learning. I want to learn how to do some body work. I want to learn how to weld in patches if I need to. I want to learn how to paint. And I know that I'm going to do a crap job first time through. So I'm not taking the first stage of restoration too seriously. The priority is more on learning and probably just nipping any major problems in the bud. But I absolutely imagine that she is going to be repainted again in the future properly. Probably not by me. The guards are also modified. I don't know if they're her original guards, but they have the HQ GDS flutes patch or panel inserted in there. So she's not really going to look like a true original one-tonner when she's restored. And to be honest, the 202 is only going to stay in there long enough for her to get registered and to have a bit of fun driving her around, but that 308 is going to get built up and put in instead. So she was a project for the previous owner, and he just discovered another car that he had always wanted to do. So he turned his attention to that, and that's why he sold the tonner. But he had already done a bit of work. I think either he did or the previous owner had painted the chassis and the firewall. They'd done a little bit of work, I think, just to kind of refresh the engine and give it a coat of paint. I think the previous owner had also done a bit of work on the brakes. I haven't pulled the brakes apart to see, but I think he had at least put some new pads in and bled them. Now, the 308 has its own story. And I'll probably do another video just explaining where that is at, because it has had some work done to it already. But for today, I really just want to give you the baseline for Trixie. So how about I walk you around the car and show you the things that I have done since I've owned her. So this is going to be in no particular order because, quite honestly, I don't remember the exact order I've done things in over the last 18 months. But I know I rebuilt the Stromberg with a little basic kit that I got from Burson's, I think. Because I hate wiring, well, I hated wiring. I'll explain more about that soon. But my husband made some new battery cables for her, which is great. We noticed that the fuel gauge wasn't working, and so we kind of tested the wiring again with his help. We isolated it back to the sender in the tank, so that was pretty well rooted, so it got replaced, bought a new sender for it, and then realised that the problem was actually in the gauge. I'm showing you the dash, but there isn't one there. But the fuel gauge went to a gauge specialist and has been repaired. I haven't had a chance to test it yet. I'm assuming that it's working now, which is great. I also started work on the nose cone because I wanted to have a go at grinding off all the old paint and rust. I should have unwrapped this before I showed you, shouldn't I? But anyway, you get the idea just from here. But it was just so intricate. Getting into all these little nooks and crannies with a grinder was just a pain in the butt. So I took it to a local sandblaster and they blasted it and epoxy primed it for me. I don't know how many parts I'm going to go down that route with. It was mostly because the nose cone has just got so many bends and folds in it. It was just taking me forever to do it. You can see her bonnet there. The previous owner's done a little bit of work. Again, I don't know how good it is. And I might just investigate some of this and see what's underneath it. But she's really straight. I don't think there were any major or noticeable dents in the bonnet, which is lovely. I also had, which came with Trixie, 3 of the commercial Steelies. Now, I don't know for sure, but what I understand is that the commercial ones have just a lot more of the, let me pull it out and show you, have a lot more of the inner part of the hub welded through, as opposed to, I think I'm pulling out the right one, as opposed to this one, which you can see has much bigger gaps. Now, I've kept that one. It came with the car as well, and I found another one of the commercial ones, so I've actually got 5 now. That one that is not a commercial wheel will probably just be the spare, but the others, I'm going to paint them. And I did find some hubcaps and had a go at restoring them. They're not in awesome condition, but when I was looking, it was really hard to find a set of 4. At least there's no rust holes, but I kind of cleaned them up and polished them up a bit. You can see that the black paint inside the rim there, and also inside the Holden line. Hi there. That needs to be repainted. I think they'll be good enough. The wheels I'd really love to have on her are not these. She also came with these mags. I don't like them one bit, and they've got the wrong offset for this car anyway. I'd really love some Jelly Bean wheels. I just don't know if they are rated for the 1-ton capacity that the 1-tonners have. So I have also, as I mentioned before, pulled out the interior. She didn't come with any floor coverings. Those floors came covered with some horrible layers of black paint, obviously seam sealer, but different kinds of black coating and some rust. And I just wanted to get the rust out of there. I don't know if you can see in the video, but there's some light surface rust coming back. I'm just getting to the point where I'll give it one more going over, and I'm going to use KBS to rust treat this and coat it. The passenger side floor well had rusted through, obviously, at some point, and it had been replaced with what I think is probably just one of those rare spares panels. But the rest of it's awesome. Like, there's no other holes, not in the driver's side. Not in the back there. It's just, you know, it doesn't look nice and clean because I've got to finish grinding it back before I coat it. But yeah, she's just in awesome condition. Look at this paint. That's the original paint. She's just, well, a bit of mould under there, but I'll probably replace the whatever that's called. The doors are a little bit of a quandary. I've read that commercial vehicles like the 1-tonners did not have the intrusion doors with the reinforcement up in there somewhere, but Trixie has them. Both doors look to be in really similar condition, a condition that kind of matches the condition of the rest of the cab, and in the same palette white. So I don't know if, given that she was a late HZ, if Holden just decided to use up other doors that aren't really supposed to go on them. I have no idea, probably never will, doesn't matter. She's keeping these doors. Now, as I'm sure a lot of you know, the plenums and cowls in these, all Holdens of this era, I think, the 70s, they just rust out so badly, and so many cars have that rust problem such that they often have to replace the entire plenum and cowl. But I think I got lucky here. I can't find any holes anywhere. Now, sure, There's a bit of surface rust down there. And I haven't cleaned out the dirt yet. But generally, it's really quite good. A bit of surface rust there. I can't find any holes coming through. That's a good way to start. Now what I do with that plenum, I'm not sure yet. I've got small enough hands I should be able to get in and probably loosen off and get a lot of that surface rust away. And I don't know, maybe fish oil or something. If you've got an idea, tell me. Share it in the comments. I'd love to have other options to consider for what to do about that, but I'm not going to pick apart all the spot welds and pull it apart and do that kind of treatment. Not now anyway. Not yet. It's probably also pretty obvious that I've pulled the wiring harness out. On the engine side, everything's still connected to the engine, but I wanted to get everything completely separated from the cab so that I can get the cab lifted off. So what I'm working on at the moment is cleaning and tagging the wiring harness and teaching myself a bit more about how to read wiring diagrams and how to correlate what's on the wiring diagram with what's actually in the wiring harness. So I'm overcoming my fear of wires, which is awesome. I'm also pulling apart the steering column at the moment and just giving it a clean. It's full of wasp nests and 40-something years worth of outback dirt. And probably one of the bigger things that's going to happen next is this cab coming off the chassis. I want to check to see how much rust there might be, particularly in the mounting points, and fix anything that needs fixing there. And I think if I can figure out a way to get the cab off the chassis and into its own workspace, I'll be able to give the underside of it a good cleanup and treat it with KBS as well. So still got a few things to figure out. If I've said anything in this video that immediately makes you think of an idea or a suggestion or something that you've learned from your own experience, please, please, please share it. I'm also happy to answer any questions that you have about the build, and happy to give you a bit more detail, so please just ask me. And I'm hoping that will be the way that the future videos happen about the one-tonner is you help me learn, and if there's anything I'm doing that helps you learn, please let me know. So, I'll see you in the next video.